Yeah, I have you starting 11:05, so if you want to just take it off at 11:05, that's great.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I should mention to everyone before Sarah starts that both Unitron and Widex have offered a set of their top of the line hearing aids for sale at the virtual auction. You should have received an email with the link to that, and I can certainly send another one out later. But look at those. There's some real good opportunity to buy some high-end products for less probably than you'll pay for them by buying them direct from your supplier. But we do ask you to bid what you pay for them, and that just helps the society continue to do business and offer presentations like this. Sarah, go ahead.
All right, great. Thank you all for having me. I am Sarah Lewandowski. I'm part of the Regional Education and Training team here at Starkey. I'm actually based in Northern Colorado, where it's a balmy 100 degrees outside. And so, man, I'm ready for fall. I'm sure you guys hopefully don't have the heat quite as bad there, but ready for fall in all the manners. And so I am going to go ahead and jump in. So our new naming, if you will, of our remote programming system is Telehear. Prior to the system being called Telehear, you may have recalled it being Hearing Care Anywhere. And so with our new product launch of Evolve AI, which happened earlier this month, which we're excited to share all the details about at a later training, we have gone ahead and made a few changes to the remote programming system, one of them being the name. And so Telehear has several adjustment capabilities for the provider. So these are the adjustment capabilities that have previously been available, as you see on the screen, and we're excited to have added some additional programming capabilities. And so you see, we've almost doubled what we were able to do before. This was really from user comments and user requests that you said, I really want to be able to do this. Can you make that available in the future? Or, why can't we do this yet? And so we're of course looking to always expand upon the capabilities while making sure that they really are doing the patient justice. So we're not going to give you control of quite everything, but we're just about there. And so I do want to just go over in really a brief manner, if you're not familiar with our remote programming system, how to set it up and how to get it going and what it looks like once you're in the system itself. So we'll go through these 3 easy steps to be able to get your practice up and running and then be able to fit your patients if they aren't able to make it into the office. So the first thing we'll want to do is establish your Telehear dashboard. And so this really can be done once, and then that's it, depending on how many practices you have, how many providers are in your office. We have several resources, which I'll be able to share with you later to be able to get this dashboard up and running. But once again, this is just something that you have to do once. Right here from the Inspire Fitting software, you see I can go on my left navigation bar to remote programming. If you previously had a Hearing Care Anywhere system set up, you could log in here. Or if you're a first-time user, this is where you would go to the Start Setup button and go ahead and just walk through the steps to be able to get your office up and running with the dashboard. After that, we'll want to make sure to generate a remote programming code. Now, the nice thing is that the patient doesn't even have to be in the office for you to be able to generate this code for them. The code is unique to each patient. And so you can't use one code for your entire office. You would need a separate code for each individual patient, and I'll tell you why. And also, it's important to know that the code expires in 3 days. And so we really just encourage, if the patient's in the office and you know you're going to be utilizing remote programming, just sit down and take a minute and walk them through the steps of setting up their end, if you will, of the Telecare system, so that you can make sure that you have that secure connection with them. Or if you're, doing this remotely, so they're not in the office, I would recommend, kind of a follow-up to make sure that they were able to put that code in correctly. So here's how you, the provider, will generate the code. Once again, this is something you only have to do once to establish that connection with your patient through the cloud. So you see here from the Inspire Fitting software, I'm going to come to my left navigation bar and patient tools. The option below self-check before fall alerts is remote programming. Remote programming defaults off for all patients, but you'll go ahead and click the checkbox for each ear to turn it on. And then when you do that, you're going to want to click on this kind of circular arrow, if you will. And so you will have a patient consent form that you can print out and provide for your patient if they'd like. And you can go ahead and decline. If they decline, then you won't be able to utilize remote programming clearly there. But if you accept, then you will have this code that will be generated for you. So I would recommend writing the code down to make sure that you don't have to go through this process more than once, and maybe even have your patient write it down. And then what we're going to do is, once again, 3 days before it is inactive or deactivated, before that code expires. So that's if the patient is in the office, you have the hearing aids connected to the software. On the case that the patient isn't in your office, you'll want to go into their NOAA file or whatever patient database you're utilizing and go into the Inspire software, okay, once you've selected your patient. And you see from the top toolbar, your third option down is to generate the remote programming code. It'll go through the same steps that you went through before, but it's nice that you don't physically have to have the devices in front of you to be able to set up Telecare even remotely. The third thing we'll want to do is activate remote programming within the patient's Thrive app. And so remember, this is a unique code. So this is going to establish a connection. Think of it as like a password that you use once, a connection within the cloud between you, the provider, and then also your patient. They, of course, need to have the most recent version of the Thrive app, which we just updated at the beginning of the month, available, of course, for free on the App Store as well as the Google Play Store. So make sure that they've got the Thrive app up and running. And then we'll want to make sure that they do log into the cloud. So they can log into the cloud via Facebook, via Google. They can just use an email if they wanted. And then they'll come to the adding a professional portion of it. So you see in the bottom right corner of the app, these 3 little bars, if you will. This is the settings menu, and you're going to go to Telecare. You'll go ahead and add a professional. When you click on add a professional, this is where they'll enter that unique code. Okay. They'll make sure that they authorize or click accept to make sure that they can connect with you. And then you'll see here that you are connected to them. For the example here, the provider's name is Best Hearing Solutions. And so this is where the professional will appear in the app. So the patient can join a live session at a scheduled time, hear from the app, or if you, the provider, have already initiated the live session through the software, I'll show you what the patient will need to do to join you in that session. So this is a change from the previous version that we were working with. We are only using live sessions now due to the research that we've done, as well as the data that we've gathered for who was using which method, if you will, of connecting with patients. And so we definitely recommend that you set a time aside to be able to have this live session with your patient. The patient or the professional can be the one to launch the system. The patient is going to let you know the adjustment needs that they have, and then you will go ahead and make changes and sync the changes to the patient's devices that will be then sent through the cloud. So let's go ahead and move forward. So once you've established your dashboard, you'll want to make sure that you're logged in. And so this is something that's very easy to do once you open the software. And you can also, if you leave your computer on at night, you don't have to log out per se. You can leave this running in the background. Once you get into your dashboard, You'll notice that there's the patients that you fit or that you've connected with through Telecare, and you'll see here the green dot next to Helen's name. This lets you know that Helen is ready and waiting in that live session for you. Now, if there wasn't a green dot, you could still start the fitting or start the session and wait for her to join. That's really your practice's preference, if you will, on how you want to be able to communicate that with your patients. Here's what you, the professional, will see when you're logged in this live session, okay? So you see that on the left side of your computer screen, you've got full access to the software. I cut off the left navigation bar, but I assure you it looks the same as your software does today. And then you see on the right-hand side, we've gone ahead and shrunk the screen for you to be able to see your patient in the larger view and you, the provider, in the upright smaller view. You'll notice that you can enable or disable your camera. You can mute or unmute your microphone. You can choose the settings for your camera, and then you can end the call with that classic universal, if you will, end call button. You'll also notice that if the left or right hearing aids were connected on the bottom of the screen, when the hearing aid is filled in, that's what lets you know that it's connected. If it was not filled in, it would let you know then that the left hearing aid has been disconnected. And so that's something you would want to talk to your patient about prior to making any adjustments. For the patient to join a live session, you see the top screenshot here. They'll get a drop down letting them know, hey, your professional is ready and waiting. They can click on that and go ahead and join the live session there. Or on the second screenshot here, they can join the live session a few minutes before the scheduled session, for example. So they're there ready and waiting for you once you were to go ahead and join them. This is the patient controls. So you see we've flipped the video, which I think is pretty typical. Think of like FaceTime or anything like that, where the provider is now in the larger portion of the screen and the patient themselves are in the smaller portion of the screen. They will be able to see the battery status of the device. They can turn their camera off, they can mute the microphone, and they of course can also end the call if they choose to. Now, once you've gone ahead and made some adjustments to the devices, you'll want to sync the settings to the patient's devices. So you see there's 4 different icons that you might run into. This green one letting you know that everything is up to date. The blue kind of double arrow here letting you know that you've made some changes and they need to be sent to the patient. So this is, you know, a surefire way to know, okay, so I made some changes. Did I send them? Did I not? This is a way to let you know, hey, you've made some changes and you haven't sent them yet to the patient. The 3 little dots here, very typical for an Apple phone to say, hey, I'm texting something or I'm typing something if you're anxiously waiting. This is the updates in progress, if you will. And then the red exclamation, very self-explanatory, letting you know that something happened and you've been disconnected from the patient. So those are your sync button status icons there. You would go ahead and just click on the gray button to be able to sync to the patient's devices. The professional can end the session or the patient can end the session. It doesn't necessarily matter. You will have the opportunity to save the session to the database prior to closing the Inspire Fitting software. We, of course, recommend that you do that. And I'm excited to share that we do have some new first fit features available with our Evolve AI platform. So you see here, you can now initialize the feedback cancellation. You can run in situ audiometry through the remote fit. This by no means is the replacement for a hearing test. This is just something to make sure if the patient isn't in the office that you are doing the best fitting you can. And we, of course, would want you to go ahead and use that verify comfort to make sure that the soft volume is audible to the patient and that the loud volume isn't uncomfortable for the patient. Now, the exciting thing with the release of Evolve AI is that we were able to get actually some research before the product launch, which like never happens in the hearing aid world. So we're excited to share with you that the studies that we did around Telecare, we see here that the participants that were using this first fit appointment, they said that, 58% said, yes, this would be okay to be able to replace this remote first fit with an in-person first fit. this doesn't surprise me that this is almost split 50-50. I think this is a personal preference. I also think it matters if you've been fit with hearing aids before or not, and the style that you're wearing. All of those things come into play with wanting to have that initial fit as a remote fit. Now, what I was excited to see, though, is that for the follow-up or the fine-tuning appointment, an overwhelming 91% said that this version, if you will, of programming would be completely suitable, or even a replacement for in-person visits. And so we really do see that 2020 became the year of telehealth. And so we see that reflected. I can't guarantee that 3 or 4 years ago, this would have been the results for remote programming, especially of such, a field where we really want to have that in-person connection. So that was exciting for us to be able to share that data with you. I wanted to give you these resources before the very end to make sure that you had them. So we do have several new brochures. We've got new white papers, new quick tips, everything is new. And then we have several training classes for you to be able to register for to make sure that you learn all about Evolve AI with effortless hearing, effortless selection, and effortless connection are the 3 buckets that we're focusing on with this product launch. All available through Starkey Pro or your outside sales rep. Your outside sales rep is Emma, and I promise she has given me her cell phone number to pass on to you. So here is her number if you want to write that down. If you're unfamiliar with Starkey or probably most manufacturers, our emails are just our first name _ and our last name, and then at starkey.com. And so if you wanted to email me for any reason, my email would be Sarah_Lewandowski at starkey.com. And so Emma's would be her name there to make sure that we, follow up with you in whichever manner you are most comfortable with. I also wanted to share with you that we've got some new products in the Evolve family. And so you see here a Bluetooth wireless CIC. Yes, that's correct. All the way up to a Power Plus BTE, a true Power Plus, the matrix I have here in a minute. It's really going to be great for those patients who've wanted a Power Plus BTE. For you to want to have everything in one family line, we now have that available for you. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but some of the names are highlighted here in bold, and these are the products that have a telecoil built in. So an ITER, the R standing for rechargeable, the RIC-R, the BTER, the BTE13, and then our Power Plus product all have telecoils built into them. Now, what about the other styles? If your patient wanted the smallest wireless device, hopefully you're coming to Starkey for your custom products, as we do quite well with custom builds. And so if they wanted that CIC, we would be able to give them an access to an FM system or a teleloop, if you will, with the Remote Mic Plus. This accessory has 5 different audio inputs, okay? It's very easy to use. It only takes 3 hours to charge it, and we can stream for up to 10 hours. And so this really is a nice accessory for the patient who maybe needs that, that telecoil capability, but wants, a product that doesn't offer it on board on the device itself. We also can utilize the Remote Mic Plus to stream from phones that don't offer direct streaming. So maybe it's a super old flip phone, but they want to be able to stream from that flip phone. For me, I use it to connect to my computer, right? So that I can go ahead and stream classes directly into my devices through this intermediary device. And so very easy to use. I'd be happy to give you follow-up resources on the Remote Mic Plus if you aren't familiar with them. And here are the stats that I'm sure you'd like to know about the new products with Evolve AI. And so we are utilizing that 2.4 gigahertz wireless CIC. It has a 312 battery. The cool thing is that the antenna is actually built into the retrieval line. So there's a little blue tag that will come on it, and it says, don't cut me and don't heat me. You can bend me, but don't break me, because this is the wireless antenna. This is the way that we were able to really think outside of the box and almost outside of the ear to be able to give you this Bluetooth wireless CIC. You see your matrix options here all the way up to a 130/70. So quite a bit of power available in this teeny tiny device. It will connect directly to your Thrive app. And then of course you can stream, from all of our 2.4 accessories, the iOS phones, as well as several Android devices. Not new this release, but updated with some new some new features, as well as a new sound system, Starkey Sound, are our 2.4 customer chargeables. And so I just wanted to call them out in case you were unfamiliar with the customer chargeable, or maybe you just needed a refresh. We have redone the faceplate. And so the faceplate will look a little different than the ones you may have previously fit. But we do have them in 3 different styles, and the ITE specifically having that onboard telecoil for your patient. And then last but not least, here with this 14080, like I said, a true power plus BTE. It is the industry's first healthable BTE on the market. And so AI and embedded sensor technology in every product for Evolve AI. So it's no longer, do I need AI? Do I not? AI is so friendly in the way that we describe it and built directly into the platform, beyond just machine learning, but really going to the next level of making several changes automatically on its own through the Thrive platform. And so an IP here of 68 for those of you interested in IP numbers and whatnot. And so we really do have a product to be able to fit the smallest of small to the largest or most difficult losses, if you will. I didn't highlight here because they are non-wireless devices, but we are including a non-wireless CIC and a non-wireless IIC. Available to you through Evolve AI. So really a full product offering from Starkey, which we are excited to have everything, as we say, under one roof or in one family. And so we really do think that Evolve AI is really made for all of life's big and little hearing moments. And so visit starkeypro.com to register for courses. If you'd like a one-on-one walkthrough, Emma or myself would be happy to be able to get that information to you. And that is right on time. And so I know you all have a break after this, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the capacity. The launch is new, so I'm sure you have quite a few questions if you have any of them now. And thank you for having me. I so appreciate being able to present to you today.
Thanks for showing up, Sarah. We greatly appreciate your talk. So any questions for Sarah that she may have? No, not hearing any. If you wouldn't
That's
mind
all right.
stopping your sharing.
Yeah, I'd be happy to stop by sharing.
And we'll go back to everybody. So we're going to take a short 15-minute break to allow everybody to take advantage of that. We'll start the next speaker at 11:40 sharp. So go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back here soon.
With you guys. Okay, and I think you probably have my incorrect screen. Sorry about that. Let me try that again. There we go. Can you see my PowerPoint? Are you able to see my PowerPoint okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, let me just jump in here. So my name is Victoria Sarban. I am an audiologist and I'm on the clinical education team with Signia, and I am actually your representative in Washington. I also cover Oregon and then Northern California as well. What we're going to talk about today are 2 of our assistive listening devices that we offer for patients in addition to our hearing aids. And then I'm going to jump into a brief overview of our Signia Telecare options as well. I'm just going to jump right in with our Streamline Mic. So this is probably one of my favorite accessories that we have to offer. It gives us a lot of different opportunities to have lots of different functions. So first, the function of the device is it is direct audio streaming from any Bluetooth device. That includes Apple devices, Android devices, and then any Bluetooth enabled devices. I have quite a few colleagues who wear our hearing aids every single day, and they use their Streamline Mic for all of our Zoom meetings and all of that. They connect the Streamline Mic to their computer, so then they can really be hands-free all day, which makes things a lot easier and nicer for them. It also allows us to have that hands-free phone call option because when we use the Streamline mic, we're not actually using the phone's microphone for calls. So it's much clearer sound quality on those phone calls as well. Of course, it's going to stream music and TV in stereo. And then it also, what I think is probably the most important function of the device, also functions as a remote microphone that wearers can use in those really challenging, noisy situations. And then, of course, it has remote control function with the buttons on the side. You can adjust the volume and all of that good stuff. You can change the programs as well using the Streamline mic. So how it works, I always like to know the insides of everything, but the Streamline mic enables that direct audio streaming from any Bluetooth enabled smartphone or device. And we really use the Bluetooth Classic protocol for that connection between the Streamline mic and the Bluetooth device. That's what allows us to get that easy connection to any of those Bluetooth devices. Then our hearing aids utilize our Bluetooth low energy protocol for that connection between the hearing instruments and the Streamline mic. So we are able to use both the Bluetooth Classic and the Bluetooth low energy with our Streamline mic. I'm not going to go through all of these buttons and everything. This is a very detailed slide that we've put together, but you can kind of see where I was talking about on the sides. We have that multifunction button that can change between different programs. At the bottom of the device there, you see they've got volume control options for that. And then at the top of the device, on the very tip top, you've got your different power indicators and your status indicators. There's a lot of different lights that light up to let you know the status, whether you are streaming, whether you are using the remote microphone mode. Any of that information can all be found under those status indicators. And then the pairing process, you will get a guide that will walk you through the pairing process when you have the devices. But first thing you want to do is you're going to pair the Streamline mic to your Bluetooth device, whether you're going to be using your phone or if you're going to be using your computer, that kind of thing. Another thing to add here on this slide, patients are also able to adjust the volume of their Streamline mic within the Signia app as well. And then once the device has been paired to the Bluetooth device, then we're able to feed that audio into the device directly to the hearing instrument. So once we connect to the Bluetooth device, then we connect to the hearing aids. And now we're able to feed that audio from the television directly. We can also pair the device to multiple pairs of Signia hearing aids all at the same time. And then patients can also start and pause TV streaming and adjust their volume via the Signia app. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on our Streamline TV here in just a moment. But the Streamline mic is fully compatible with our Streamline TV device. I'll go a little bit more into detail in the next slide, but when the patient is using both the Streamline mic and the Streamline TV, if a phone call comes in while the wearer is streaming their TV signal, the ringtone is actually going to be heard in the hearing aids. And then the wearer can decide if they want to accept the call or if they want to reject the call. So they can do that either on their phone itself, or they can use the Streamline mic if that's an easier access at that point. And then the call is actually going to be streamed into both of the hearing aids at the same time. And then that TV stream signal is going to be paused. Then once that phone call has ended on the phone, you can either end it on the phone or the Streamline mic. Then that TV sound is going to automatically begin streaming again directly into both hearing aids. So as promised with our Streamline TV, so this is the device that we plug into the back of the television, and then we pair the hearing instruments to the device so that the patient can stream that TV signal directly into their hearing aids. This is the device that my mom swears by. She's always worn those over-the-ear headphones, and this just makes her life a lot easier with her Signia hearing aids. It's a pretty simple process to pair the hearing aids to the Streamline TV itself. You just have to turn the hearing aids off and then on, which puts them into that Bluetooth pairing mode. And then you just really need to place the hearing aids close. I always recommend placing the hearing aids on top of the TV streamer, just so we can have as close of a connection that we can with the hearing aids on top of the device. And then the pairing process is going to start immediately once those devices are both turned on. Usually takes about 30 seconds, and you'll see some blue indicator lights on the TV streamer itself. The other really great thing about the TV streamer is that our Streamline TV can be paired to multiple hearing aids. I know that we had a conference a few years ago when we were all still doing things in person, and I think they had over 100 pairs of hearing instruments paired to one Streamline TV. So we can pair a lot of different devices, which is great for those nursing home situations if you need it, or it's also available, you know, as my parents, my dad does not have hearing aids yet, but he will one day soon, hopefully. But it'd be nice for them because then they can both be paired to the Streamline TV and have different volume adjustments, whatever is their most comfort level. So I've been through how to pair the hearing instruments to the device. When the patient wants to actually begin to use the Streamline TV, what we recommend is to activate a TV program. You can program that in the Signia Connect software by just adding in that TV program. And then the patient is able to use the onboard controls on the hearing aids themselves to go into that TV program, or they're able to use the Signia app to go into that program, or our mini pocket remote control. And then when the wearer wants to stop any of that audio streaming, then they are just going to switch over to any other hearing aid program, whether that be, again, via the onboard controls or the Signia app. And then I've already mentioned a couple of times, but to adjust the volume, they can, again, use their onboard controls on the hearing aid. So they can use that rocker switch to adjust the volume, or they can also use the Signia app to adjust that TV streamer volume. So we always ask questions about, you know, why would my patient need accessories? As we talked about with the Streamline Mic, it is a great multifunction accessory. It has that remote microphone function for better hearing and noise. We also have the ability to stream those phone calls hands-free, which makes life a lot easier when streaming those phone calls. And then it also allows us that remote control function, and then the remote microphone function as well. And then the Streamline TV, again, it streams that audio directly into the hearing aids for better hearing of that TV signal. And again, multiple users can use a Streamline TV all at the same time for their personal volume preference. So those are our accessories. And then I'm just going to go through a little bit of a brief overview of our Telecare options. Telecare has kind of blown up over the last year and a half as we've been doing more in-home appointments, or, you know, just trying to keep traffic low in offices. So Signia has two different options for our programming through our Telecare. I'm going through a brief overview today, but if anybody wants to go through a walkthrough with me, just give me a shout and I'm more than happy to go through this with you. Usually takes me about a half an hour to get through a full training of these. But we have a couple of things that we need to make sure that we take care of before we begin either of our Telecare options. So the first option we have is what we call our basic Telecare. So that is a non-synchronous appointment. So this is something where the patient accesses the Telecare functionality within the Signia app, and then they can request some programming changes through a messaging system. And then you, as the provider, whenever you have a chance to go in and make those adjustments for the patient, then you're able to do that. So that's our basic tuning. And then we also have our full live remote tuning, which is where I always liken it to a FaceTime or a Skype call, where you connect with your patient and then the hearing instruments that the patient is wearing connect directly to our software, and then you have full functionality of the software. But in order to activate our patients for Telecare, there's a couple of steps that we need to take. To begin, if this is your first time using Telecare, then you just need to register your account through our Telecare Portal. You can find our Telecare Portal through our My Signia, as well as our Signia Pro website. Once you go through that process, it's very easy just to register. You just put in your basic clinic information and assign roles and things like that. Then what we need to do is you're ready to activate, say, Mr. Jones for Telecare. So that whole process is all done within Connects, and I'll show you pretty quickly how that's done. In order to activate a patient, we have to have a first fit complete, and then we just need to activate them in the software. Once they're activated for Telecare, they're ready to go. Then what we need to do on the patient's end is we need to make sure that we download and install the Signia app on the patient's smartphone. And then now we're all ready to use the Telecare functionality. We now have remote tuning abilities. We have a care chat, which is where the patient can chat with the provider. There's also some hearing lessons and some satisfaction ratings all within the Telecare portal. So in order to activate, we have to have run and performed a first fit. So you can see that a first fit has been run on this patient here. And then if you look up at the top right corner, where a little bit under the Signia logo, you'll see the word Telecare. So that is our full Telecare menu. You'll log in to the Telecare portal, and that is, our portal is our cloud-based portal where we hold all of our patient information, all of that good stuff. So you'll log in. Then the next thing you'll do once you've successfully logged in is you will see a little button there to activate client. You'll click on that. Then you're going to get a new pop-up on the software screen here. So now you're going to see an option. How do you want to communicate with your patient to get the Signia app downloaded? So the first thing we have here is you can enter in your patient's phone number, or at the very bottom of our little new pop-up box, you can say continue without mobile number. I would use that if my patient were in the office with me and I was just going to go ahead and download the app with them. Once you've determined how you want to communicate with the patient, then you will get your code. It will also be sent to the patient if you chose that option. What they are going to see on their end is they are going to get a text message with a link to the Signia app as well as their connection code. If they click on that link, it will take them directly to the App Store, and then they can go ahead and open that, follow those directions. To connect their hearing devices to the app, they will just click on Telecare code in that initial prompt. They'll put in that 6-digit code that you gave them, and then now you're connected to the Signia app and they're ready for Telecare. If they already have the Signia app downloaded, then you will just click on that menu option and then click on settings, app settings, and then connect to Telecare, and it will walk you through that entire process that I just went over again. And then lastly, as I mentioned, we have our basic tuning. So that's going to have all of that functionality through the Telecare portal. This is going to work with all of our hearing aids, whether they have Bluetooth, whether they are wireless, anything. So we can go all the way down to our Silk devices, our 10NX Pure device, all the way up to our new AX devices. So that will work with everything. And that's that basic tuning where they just send messages and you do things asynchronously. And then with our full live remote tuning, those instruments have to have Bluetooth. So any of our NX instruments that have Bluetooth, any of our experience instruments that have Bluetooth, and then of course our new AX instruments that have Bluetooth, we're basically going to use the patient's phone to become a NoaLink wireless. And that's really how we get that connection to the hearing instruments into our software. Once we get that connection, you're able to see your patient so you can watch them as reactions go, as you're making some programming adjustments, all of that kind of thing. You're able to do that all within the software, and you can do anything. You can run own voice processing if you trust yourself and the patient enough. You can add in additional programs. You can really run the full gamut of the programming software with that full live remote tuning, which is the advantage for that. So very brief overview of our Telecare and our assistive listening devices. I'm always more than happy to go over this in greater detail with anybody at any time. Just feel free to reach out and I will gladly set up an appointment with you. And that is all.
Yeah. Thanks, Victoria. Are there any questions for Victoria? All right, in that case, we're going to take another short break. The next speaker, which is Tammy Franklin from Oticon, will come on at 12:05. So enjoy your break. Thank you again, Victoria. We greatly appreciate it. And I just also want to mention that Signia is offering a set of their 7AX charge and go hearing aids on the virtual auction. I just put the link to that auction in the chat. So visit that, bid high and bid off. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Stop sharing your screen. I appreciate it. There we go.
Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay.
That was me. Sorry.
You're fine. All right. So let me pull up my little PowerPoint here. Once I can find it. Some slight technical difficulties here. Let's see, share. And we will do this. Ah, there we go. All right. Looks nice and clean, right? Not too much behind the scenes activity going on here. All right. So you guys can hear me okay, I'm assuming? Yes? And you'll tell me if you can't. So, hi guys, I'm Tammy. I'm with Oticon, as mentioned before. And so I'm just going to review what we have for our accessories. Also talk about our remote care system. So I'll do a walkthrough on just kind of verbally to you guys how this works. I have this really cool video to show you as well, so that you kind of get a feel for how it works. And then we're going to attempt to actually do a live session. I've enlisted my husband in this. And so provided he doesn't have a phone call that comes in at the last minute, I think we can make this happen. So, but the video is kind of my nice little, like, kind of covering my backside so you guys can actually see a session done very, very quickly. And then we'll just kind of expand it out as you guys have questions. So if you have questions, I know I can't see everybody, so feel free just to speak up and ask. Okay, I'll answer as best I can. So with the onset of our products going from the open line, which came out about 5 years ago, onto our current line, which is Oticon More, we do offer what we call a twin link system. And so prior to that, basically, there was always a choice that manufacturers had to make between going with either using 2.4 gigahertz, which has great outbound communication as far as being able to connect to multiple devices, but doesn't have very strong ear-to-ear communication. That's where the NFMI kicks in, the near field magnetic induction. Had great ear-to-ear transfer of data. Lots of data can be transferred very quickly, but it was not so good on the connection to additional devices. It's why most companies up until about 5 years ago had to have a streamer if they were using the NFMI type system. So Oticon, when we launched Open 5 years ago, was the first company, excuse me, to actually blend the two together and to make the two of them kind of link them together, what we call our twin link system. So we used NFMI for our ear-to-ear communication to transfer huge amounts of data back and forth. And then we also now use the 2.4 gigahertz system to communicate with all of our outbound accessories. So the first one I want to talk to you guys about is our Connect clip. It's kind of our centering piece that we have because it does pair with everything else. It's our intermediate device that connects with the 2.4 gigahertz hearing aids. So it connects with our Open, OpenS, More, SIA, and Ruby lines. And it does connect through Bluetooth to most mobile phones, including ones, as long as the mobile phone has Bluetooth capability, for the most part, we can connect it to the Connect clip and can turn the devices into a headset. We also have this as a multi-use system. So this is also able to be used as a remote microphone. So it works up to about 65 feet away. So if you have a college student who needs to have extra access to what the professor is saying, this is something the professor can easily wear on their chest, or they can, like on their clothing, can clip, or they can also just kind of have it on the podium and have it relatively fairly close to the speaker's voice, and they can hear things. What's great too is with the Oticon On app, if it's connected, as long as the Connect clip is connected within the phone, there's also capability of adjusting the mix. So you can adjust the environmental noise as well as the input noise when it's in remote mic mode as well. We also use it with the BTD 800 USB piece. So this will connect wirelessly and through a computer's Bluetooth directly, the Connect clip will. I know some of the older models of laptops in the past haven't had the strongest Wi-Fi systems. So what we have done with the Wi-Fi system is basically you can try to attempt, and we usually recommend attempting to connect with the Connect clip first, see if that works. If it doesn't seem to work very well, then we have this BTD 800 USB piece that works as a wireless transmitter. It just kind of boosts the Wi-Fi signal for the computer so that we get a much more stable connection. So for all of your patients that are on these lovely Zoom calls that love to be involved, or that are, you know, on their computers for work all the time, it does provide a little bit more of a stable system, and the cost I think is about $50 or so. It's a fairly inexpensive option for the USB piece. This also works as a remote control. So we have buttons down the side of it that offer both a program change, a mode change, and volume control, as well as a mute function. And we can pair up to 8 Bluetooth devices on the Connect clip. So currently for most of our customers, we do have an accessory promo. So this is available as an accessory. If you order a set of hearing devices, this can come at no charge for your patients. Our TV adapter is by far our next most popular system. And this is great. It connects directly to the user's hearing aids. It's a one-to-many pairing. So if you have a husband and wife who both wear devices, both of them can connect into the same TV adapter. Likewise, we can pair the hearing devices to multiple adapters. So if they have a living room system and a bedroom system or a rec room system, they can pair to multiple devices, to multiple TV adapters. We do work with both the digital stereo and Dolby Digital. So this does give a lot of opportunities for the patients to be connected either to the TV directly or to home theater systems and some flat panel TVs. Okay. Our remote control. So this thing's actually pretty slick. So it's this cute little discrete remote control option that we do allow, that we do include as part of our promo as well. Allows you to adjust the volume control. You can change the program if you need to, and then you also have the capability to mute devices. You can also do it from 6 feet away. So, you know, just be careful if your spouse gets a hold of the remote control and starts messing with you from a few feet away and you're not aware of it. But you do have the option. You don't have to have it right up to your ears, basically. So you can have it in your pocket, can pull it out, and you can make adjustments, turn volume up and down, or you can mute it without anybody else being the wiser. Our phone adapter system. So this is actually our original phone adapter that we had with our Inium and Inium Sense products. We have adapted this one, and we've kind of made a firmware adjustment capability with the phone adapter to be now compatible with the with our Velox S and Polaris products, which are the ones that we're currently talking about that are available on our Genie 2 software. So essentially, it is a landline phone system. So it's a nice little landline phone connector for our patients who still have that as an option and they want to have some capability to kind of move around the house or have some flexibility. Basically, this will pair with the Connect clip. The patient wears a Connect clip and it will make a distinction for the incoming call, whether it is coming from the phone adapter 2.0 system or whether it's coming from the patient's cell phone. That will get different rings so that they'll know basically who's calling if they happen to be in the house. Or they'll at least know where the phone call is coming from if they're within their home. So it's a very easy, you could be up to 30 meters away from the phone adapter and still be able to answer the phone. The Connect clip will pick up the patient's voice and send that back to the adapter to communicate with the person who is calling them. We do have it set up so if the listener is watching television or is connected to something else, basically the incoming call will be prioritized. So they will have it won't just automatically send it to voicemail. They will be able to answer. And then when the call is ended, the Connect clip will move them back to whatever program they were in before, whether it was their original program or whether it was on the TV or whatever it is that they were using or streaming. Any questions so far? Yep, okay. Our Edgy Mic. So this is our FM system. It's our newest accessory that we've offered. And basically it is a 2.4 gigahertz remote microphone. Primarily this was set up to support children with hearing loss, but I do know of adults who have purchased it outright. Basically the teacher wears the Edgy Mic. It will stream to an unlimited number of Oticon hearing aids that are paired together. It will offer direct access. It also can work on the other end as a receiver. So if the teacher is using, say, a Roger system that isn't compatible with the child's Oticon hearing aids, they can actually, on the bottom of the Edgy Mic is the 3-prong DAI adapter. They could put that on the bottom and then have that paired to the child's hearing devices. So it does have kind of a dual option for kids to work with. So yeah, it will work within 65 feet. There is also a 3.5 millimeter jack connection on the bottom of the Edgy Mic. This also has a telecoil. So if you have patients who perhaps have a hearing device that doesn't have a telecoil as an option for them, that just isn't available in terms of styles like our Mini Right, they can pair it to an Edgy Mic and use the Edgy Mic's telecoil to work within a loop system as well. So there's a lot to this. This is a little bit more of an expensive option, a little bit of a pricier option. So we don't necessarily make that part of our promos with a set of purchases, but we do have that available for purchase as an additional option. Any questions about accessories? Nope. Okay. So we'll dive into remote care here. So our Oticon remote care system, this is one of my favorite things. It was one of my favorite things to train on last year because it was really just a lot of fun and very easy to work with. And now that I say that, I realize I probably jinxed myself as we try to do the actual system. So our Oticon remote care system. So basically, as with most of our other telehealth options, it does allow you to send updated settings and adjustments in real time to your patient's hearing devices. They do connect, so the patient basically will download the remote care app. They can, as long as they're part of the app, they can connect with any, as long as they have Wi-Fi or mobile data, they can communicate with you, essentially kind of in a modified FaceTime format. What we have found that has worked best for clinicians, the best practices that we've seen so far from offices that have used this the most, is that they do the initial appointment in person, and particularly if a customer is a previous user where they've worn hearing devices before, they don't need as much counseling, they then set up follow-up appointments through remote care, so they're not necessarily having to take off during the day to come in and wait in an office or potentially expose themselves to other microbes or other things that are going on if they're concerned about going out in public. So they do have that as an option as well. The appointments are fairly quick. We have found that they've been pretty efficient and allows for the clinician to also have a little bit more time, right? So if an office has to shut down, obviously they can move to the remote care option for most of their patients, and they can get them set up and work with them. So what will happen, so the process here in kind of a quick format is the clinician basically registers through Oticon to be a remote care provider. So we get you set up in our system. The patient will download the remote care app on their phone. And to register with the remote care app, they do have to give an email address so they can log in. The email address is then given to the clinician. And so we enter that into the system, and it's actually attached to the patient's file. That is our connection point in the cloud. So we use the Azure system. So it's very secure. It's an encrypted session. We decide a designated sign-in time. Both the patient and the clinician will sign in, and then the changes that are made are requested, and we end the session and we go about our day. So I'm going to play a video here really quick, and we will, let me see if I can make this work. Maybe. Let's see. I think I'm going to share my screen here. We'll attempt this. Yeah. Oh, well, let's see here. Okay, there we go. All right. And actually, let me double check. We'll share sound. Okay, so we're going to play this. Okay, so really quick, I'm going to pull up the software here. I just sent a note to my husband to ask him to log into the system. So we'll see how well this works. So this is our Oticon software. I have my husband's file set up here that I created yesterday, and I think this should work out really well. We click on the remote.
We're still seeing your slides.
Oh, you are? Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Let's see. You're not seeing my software.
Nope, just your slides.
Hmm.
There you go.
Okay.
That's it.
Let's do this. We'll go back and we'll just start from scratch here. Okay, so I will exit out of this so you guys can see. Can everyone see my software right now?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So down here on the screen down to the side, so we've had a little bit of an update to our software since that video came out. So the remote care system is right here. So I'm gonna log in under my system. Okay, so we do not allow for tinnitus adjustments on here, so we do have to sign in saying that we agree to that. And just have to move my little thing over here. So we have the integrated camera, the microphone array that's set up. Click on continue. And then once we enter in the email address, it will keep it on file attached to the patient, so you don't have to look it up every single time. So if I click on continue, we'll see if he's logged in. Look, and he's all ready. So we'll start the visit. All right, everyone say hi to my husband. Hi, everybody. Okay, so from this point, what I do is we connect the devices. So you can see everything's kind of grayed out here. We're going to select the instruments. And we'll click on continue. And once they're marked as green, we know they're connected and able to be programmed. If something were to go wrong from a sound standpoint, I have this option here that we can go in and we can do a text chat. So I can always just say no here that just says hi. So just in case something goes sideways, there's always a way to communicate in that sense as well. Okay. From here, let's say we need to take the volume up a couple of steps. So we go into fitting. And I am just moving things around here so I can make sure I see what I'm doing. So we take everything up just a couple of steps. So I'm going to increase everything here for the gain. And then I just go to the upload button off to the side here and I upload it. The general recommendation is that really you do things one step at a time, if at all possible, simply because obviously it takes a little bit of time for it to upload. So if you've done 6 different changes and all of a sudden you realize that they didn't like something in there, you have to now go back and dial back every one of those one at a time. So the best practice is you do it one at a time, but obviously you can do multiple things at once and you can upload them all together. So how does that sound? Sound pretty good? Right?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Very good. So once we're done with this, then basically we can just go into end fitting and we can click on save and exit. And we'll save it to the hearing devices and to NOAA. This is also saved in real time as well, by the way. So once something's been uploaded, it is officially saved in the hearing devices. So if we have something happen where the devices get disconnected or the Wi-Fi goes bad on the patient's end, whatever changes we've made will be saved. Likewise, if I go in ahead of time because the patient says they need to have a couple of adjustments, I can always change stuff in the software, save the session, and then go into that session and basically upload the session versus uploading the hearing devices. So we end this here, click on OK. We're going to restart the hearing instruments. And we will end the session here in a moment. There we go. All right. Let's see here. So I know we're just hitting our time here. Is there any questions at all? I know that was a really quick zip through, but you can see it's actually extremely easy to log in and very easy to make changes, save it, and the patient and the clinician can go about their day.
That was very cool. Thank you, Tammy.
Very cool. Love it.
Any questions for Tammy? All right, and I just want to remind everyone that Tammy has put a set of her top of the line premium hearing aids on the 32auctions.com, and the link is in the chat for that. Click on that and bid high and bid off. That all helps the society.
Fantastic. Well, it's so good to see everybody, and good luck with the rest of your meeting.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a break
Thank you.
again for lunch now. So be back at 1 o'clock and we are going to hear about cochlear implant candidacy. So we'll see you all in about half an hour.